His frightening story happened 25 years ago with a boy named Kevin. He said that when he was 6 years old, his father Brian died Uncle Bill, who lived in the state of Wyoming, the city of Sheridan, and it was necessary to go there to get the inheritance of Uncle Bill. Having received the news about the death of his uncle, Kevin's father and mother decided to go to Wyoming on the weekend. Packing for the road was quick, and the next day they went on the road. It was not a long drive. They would be traveling for about 2 days. The weather was good, as this trip was in the middle of June. A couple hours before arriving in Sheridan, Kevin felt sick. He had a fever and was running a fever. In the evening, when they arrived at Uncle Bill's house, behind which was a thick forest, they saw a 2-story house that was in obvious need of repair. Some of the windows were missing panes, and the roof and walls were dilapidated. Parking the car by the porch, my dad picked up Kevin in his arms and carried him into the house, while my mum grabbed her things and followed them in. Once inside the house, they saw that some of the furniture was missing, and some rooms were closed or completely empty. The next morning, they called the doctor, and he said that Kevin had a sore throat, and it was necessary to spend 2 or 3 days in the house, so that the child would be at rest without moving games and lying in bed. After that, Kevin's mum chose one of the rooms on the 2nd floor, in which from the furniture were only a large soft bed, a high wooden table, and 2 chairs. While Kevin's father was trying to settle his inheritance, Kevin's mother took care of her son, bringing him medicine, hot tea, and soup, so that Kevin would be cured and they could go home. The only entertainment he had were the books his mum would find at Uncle Bill's house and bring him. In the evening, as Kevin lay in bed with a book in his hands, he heard a rustling under the bed. He thought it might have been a mouse in the abandoned house and decided to feed it a piece of bread left over from dinner. Kevin got down from the bed, looked under it, and saw a horrible creature that was small in stature, with a huge mouth, sharp teeth sticking out of its mouth, round eyes, long ears that pointed upwards, and it had 4 fingers and toes and big claws on each of its hands and feet. Kevin wanted to scream in fear, but his sore throat wouldn't let him. At that moment, the monster said, "Don't be afraid. I just want to play with you. I live here alone, and I'm bored." Kevin calmed down and whispered, "I'm not afraid. You just showed up out of the blue and scared me." After that, the monster from under the bed told him that he had been living here for a very long time and liked to play very interesting games with the children, but immediately warned Kevin that he must not tell his parents about their acquaintance, or he would not come again. Kevin, realizing that he would have to spend about 3 days alone in a bed of books, told the monster that he would not tell anyone about their acquaintance, and said, "I'm going to call you Toby." The next morning, his mum took his temperature. It was 101 degrees Fahrenheit, brought Kevin his medicine, fed him breakfast, and left. After that, Toby popped out from under the bed and suggested that Kevin play a new game he really likes, but they have to go to another part of the house, on the 2nd floor, to do it. Kevin agreed and followed Toby with quiet steps so his mum on the 1st floor wouldn't hear them. They came to a room that had no furniture at all and a large window with no glass across from the door. Toby jogged to the window and beckoned Kevin to the window with his hand to look down at the ground. Toby explained that he was presenting a huge trampoline under the window and jumping down from a great height and back up through the window. Toby told Kevin that if he really wanted to and imagined a trampoline under the window, he could jump on it, flying up like a light cloud, and offered to jump, pushing Kevin closer to the window. Although Kevin was a 6-year-old with a high fever, the thought flashed through his mind that this fall would be a long one, and he was scared. He said, Let's try it another time, in case I don't have enough imagination to visualize the trampoline below and I might crash. Toby got angry at Kevin, showed a grin of his scary teeth, but immediately calmed down and said he could treat Kevin to some candy. They went back to Kevin's room, and Toby jumped under the bed, and after a couple seconds crawled back out. He held a bunch of small broken glass in the palm of his hand and told Kevin to take them in his mouth and swallow them, imagining the different flavors of the lollipops. Kevin looked at Toby's forefinger palm where the pains were and thought that with his sore throat it would be difficult to swallow them, and imagined they were candy, so he said no to Toby again. At the same moment, Toby made a hurt expression on his face, hid under the bed, and did not show himself to Kevin again that day. The next evening, after Mom fed Kevin dinner and left, Toby popped out from under the bed again with a wooden box in his hands and offered Kevin a new game. "Do you want me to teach you how to juggle? With these objects you can practice juggling. Here, take them." "Throw them up and catch them," said Toby, and took 5 sharp, shiny knives out of the box and held them out to Kevin. Kevin said that his parents forbid him to even touch such objects, and if they found out that Kevin was playing with the knives or even touching them, they would get very angry and punish him. After that, Kevin slept very badly all night and had nightmares. The next morning, his mom came to Kevin's room and told him that they were going to sell the house and go home tonight, so he could go outside and walk in the yard. Kevin got dressed, put on his sneakers, and went outside, and Toby was waiting for him on the porch and said he had something interesting to show him. Kevin got scared and asked what was it. "It's definitely safe, I assure you," replied Toby. They walked through the backyard and came to a path that led deep into the woods. It was getting darker and darker as the trees and bushes grew thicker, even though it was morning. They walked about 100 feet down the path until they came to a large fallen tree, and then Toby said, "I had a lot of friends your age with whom I played my games, and when they were ready, I would take them to a secret place along this path, but you, Kevin, are not ready yet, and I will not show you that place." Kevin went back down the path, and when he got to the house, he wondered for a long time what was in that secret place, and that evening they went home. For years he wondered and imagined what might be there. Many years later, when Kevin had grown up and had a family of his own, he happened to be in Wyoming and decided to go to Sheridan to see the scary house. When he arrived at the site, he saw that the house was gone, and in its place lay only the burnt remains from the house. Kevin was always curious and followed the trail that Toby had once shown him. After walking about 300 feet down the trail, deep into the woods, he saw an old scary cemetery where there were about 40 graves, and almost all of the headstones were children's.